You know, every week for about a year, we have been at King's Restaurant in Tamuning to do something to talk about. Today's a little bit of a special day because King's is actually celebrating its 40 years of existence on Guam. And today we are going to be interviewing a man who kind of started it all. He's a special guest, and he's a special guest of Guam during King's the 40th year reunion. That's all coming ahead on Something to Talk About. And welcome. Here we are at King's Restaurant in Tamuning. King's this year celebrating its 40 years of service on Guam, and it's absolutely incredible to have the guy who really made it happen from the very beginning back in Guam after 30 years of being away. Phil Schmidt joins us along with the current guy who runs this stuff is Dave Alcorn. Hi, gentlemen. How are you?
Hi, Patty.
It's so nice to have you here. Thanks a lot. Hey, David, thanks a lot for letting us use your staff in this corner. And
you're more than welcome. This is a wonderful thing to see you here every week, right?
It's great. We've been doing this. I was telling the audience that we've been here a year now. We've been at King's once a week for the past year, and it's, you know, I don't know, we're all getting a little sizable here, but anyway, having said that, Ryan has made you guys some deep fried Oreos.
Yeah, oh, wow,
so
cool.
yeah, I hope have at it. What a thing to see your little baby all grown up, huh? 40 years?
Me or the restaurant, you know?
Both, right? Your little baby. I mean, when you took him on, he was a young whippersnapper kind of guy, was he? Yeah.
In Honolulu, he was actually right off the beach.
Wow. Yeah.
Came from California.
Literally.
Came to Hawaii. Right off the beach, needed a job. He walked in, I needed a busboy.
Wow.
It's kind of like put your hair in your shirt. And
yeah. Is that what it was? Did you start as a busboy?
As a busboy, yeah in Hawaii.
At Smitty's, at the Pancake House.
Right.
Yeah, Ala Moana Shopping Center.
No, in Ala Moana.
At Ala Moana, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Ponytail inside the shirt. That was the requirement that he.
Yeah.
I've kept the ponytail.
Well, but you haven't.
He has a ponytail still.
Yeah. But what a relationship. I mean, you know, to have somebody so young. Now, when you come back after 30 years and you look around this place and you go, well, this is clearly not the original place, but what did you think about the growth of King's since the beginning?
I watched it through the years because Dave and I were in contact once, and I still have friends here. And, you know, they would tell me. They would give me this, you know, tell me, oh, great, King's just built a new one off the building, and then there was a Dedido one, I think was second. First.
Right.
Was that before this one, right?
Dedido was before this one, before the relocation of this one.
So I always had a connection here still. It wasn't necessarily directly, but I always knew what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, and I would go back and forth to Honolulu from Anchorage pretty regular. So I would see my brother-in-law, who still has business interests here.
And he would tell you?
He would tell me what's going on. Of course, my wife's sister flew for Air Mike she's been flying for Air Mike for 29 years.
Wow.
So she comes here every month, and I still have family. Her mother is still here.
Well, I didn't know you were keeping tabs on us.
I know. Look at that.
Kind of concerning, you know. So.
I mean, it was an interest. It was a place that I spent 11 years of my life, and I enjoyed it. And my sons, 2 of them came back in the meantime. I have 4 sons, and all but one. One was born in Indonesia, but the other 3 were born here. So there's always been a connection.
Yeah. And, so coming back on this soil again, not necessarily in King's, but we were talking, and you were telling me how things have changed just in Tumon from 30 years ago. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine because I was here that long ago, but...
Yeah, the hotels, but, you know, I look at it, and I personally, all the changes I saw were good.
Yeah.
You know, I really think it's grown in a nice way. Tumon is still Tumon the Bay, which is... I love Tumon. I mean,
you know what? Because you were saying you spent so much time in Honolulu, and you grew up in Waikiki, and you could see what the big difference is between what has happened in Waikiki. Do you look at Guam and go, God, I really hope it doesn't get to that point, or you see signs of that happening?
I think you always feel, I hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's still room there for some pretty big complexes to be built.
Yeah.
But when you get to the point where you can't get to the water, without having to go through the lobby of a hotel or through something.
Yeah.
That's when I think it goes too far. I think Guam still has a lot of openness, a lot of feeling. And Tumon is so much better than it's really much better than Waikiki when you talk about. You can go to Tumon with a 2-year-old and not worry that he's going to get swept out or something.
The waves
so
are pretty.
It's really a great place for families. I noticed since I've been here. I'm guessing these were Korean families a lot in the hotel I'm in now. All of them with very young kids, just having a great time.
Yeah.
You know, and from that end of the world, the market here has grown, and I hope it still continues to grow. But I think the politicians will hopefully keep it under control.
Yeah.
Because it's still it's still the island for the local people, and, even though the tourists come.
Yeah.
So.
The food industry, though, I mean, it has boomed from where you were 30 years ago.
Yeah. When David and I came, there was Shakey's Pizza Parlor, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken up the street here, and that was pretty well it, except for other local restaurants. There were no other chains that I remember.
No, not really. I mean, Chuck's Steakhouse maybe was open.
Yeah, Chuck's
right?
was up in Tumon.
But this is now, what did you call this area? I think Dave's like coined to this area. It's like
restaurant row.
It's like a restaurant row. Like it's like a restaurant. But is there room, you think? You think that for the size of Guam, that there's still more room for these franchises to come in? Does that feel threatening?
Food is a funny industry, and like I said, I've been out of it for 30 years.
Yeah.
But I've always had an interest, and it's a love-hate relationship, so you never lose interest in watching it. But I've never seen I go to Honolulu, I live in Anchorage part of the time, I live in Reno. Everywhere I go, the restaurants are busy. And the restaurants just keep coming. Yeah. And it's not like oh, this one's dying. They just keep getting busier and busier. People always are going to eat. It becomes... I just don't understand why a lot of times you say there's only so much population. But people love to go out, love to be outside, talking with other people, rather than sitting at home cooking and then watch TV, they'll go out.
Yeah.
So I think it's something, there's plenty of more room here.
The thing about King's, though, there is a certain personality. Let me just go there because it's your 40th birthday. There's something about the personality of this restaurant that I don't know what it is. Is it it's sort of a kitchen table culture? Where when you come in, I mean, that's how I feel when we're sitting at this table once a week. There's kind of a feeling that you're sitting in your own house. Yeah.
It's definitely a comfort food.
Yeah.
And it's, we started out and David continued on and let it grow into a local restaurant. Every city you go to, I was telling David earlier, I've said everywhere I live, there's that one
flagship restaurant. Yeah.
And it's usually local.
Yeah.
If you go to Anchorage, it's a place called Gwinnie's. And you go to Reno, there's like a restaurant called Rasputin. It's been there 40 years. And you go to Honolulu, you're going to find them. They get kind of hidden away now, but they're not in Waikiki. You got to get out of Waikiki, but they're there. Was
it hard to make that transition between the identification of the King's being kind of a Hawaiian coffee shop? Remember, at some point you were carrying the King. The King's whole concept was. How did you make that transition into making it more of a local restaurant than a Hawaii thing?
Well, I think
did you kind of fall into that?
Menu, food items, people, employees.
Yeah.
But we never carried the menu that was from King's in Hawaii. The only thing we carried was the word King's. The menu was always totally different right from the scratch. It was kind of a cross between a Smitty's Pancake House, pancakes, but it was always comfort food. And I think it just developed because David and the crew and everybody else, they got to know the local people and got to know what they wanted. People would say, oh, why don't you have
deep fried
rice or ham hocks and mongo beans.
So when you started getting into the ham hocks, mongo beans, cut and pica stuff, you were getting into some real back
local,
kitchens kind of fare.
That was probably actually David after me that got the ham hocks and that day grew. I mean, I hadn't gotten that far yet. I got out of the restaurants and started doing other things, and as time went on with. I think after when David was pretty well running everything, that they really got deeper into that local menu items, deeper than I did. And then you got to understand, I was never a cook. Well, he was never a cook either. None of us were ever
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. How do you get into a restaurant business when you don't really?
People ask me all the time, well, you know how to cook? And I go, no. I thought I could hire someone that can.
I don't cook at home or anything either. So
was it daunting back in 1975? To bring something like this to a coffee shop concept here, was it like
we were young?
Was it a no? Wow, was that so? It was sort of you just took a shot.
Basically,
really.
We were. I was 24. You were what? 21?
20.
20.
20. Yeah.
I mean, at that age, and We didn't have anything to lose.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was just wanted to do it, and I'm one of those people that when I was about 18 or 19, I decided I didn't want to work for somebody else.
And so that was it.
This was a way to not work for somebody else.
That's a very cool way
Take
of not
a shot.
working. Yeah.
And I don't know. I never felt we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I always felt confident. David, I think, grew into it, and he gained his confidence over time. And
Well,
obviously, his confidence took him farther.
I
than
was just
mine
going to
did.
say that. The confidence. Boy, you got to have the confidence. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll ask about the expansion. He went from Kings, they went from Kings, and now it's been taken to points beyond. We're on something to talk about. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Celebrating 40 years of King's Restaurant in Guam. And the guy who started it all is a guy named Phil Schmidt, back in Guam after 30 years. The guy who picked up the ball after was Dave Alcorn. Been together for all of these years. Young guys in their 20s decided they were going to throw everything in the basket and open a restaurant. And look how far it's come. I almost get teary-eyed, really. But I mean, it's such an incredible accomplishment, is what I think. You know, for like I said, for two 20-year-old kids to come together and do something. There
was me and David, but we brought a few over. I think when we came out, there were about 6 of us.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know, and of course they were all young, and it's like they were just following me. Yeah, we'll just follow him.
Did that make you nervous at all that you had all these 20-somethings riding on you? Like,
Yeah, because
you had
figure,
pressure?
hey, if we screw up,
Yeah.
excuse me, if we say
Yeah,
that,
no, that's okay.
if we screw up, these guys are going to be looking at me.
Yeah.
They're not going to blame anybody else but me.
Why did this
Yeah.
go down? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So, we were young.
Did it help that you opened it and it was a bar as well? Did it help that, or was it what was it? Was the
bar was hard to get off the ground.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
yeah.
what?
In the
Really?
beginning, yeah. It took a while, but once it caught on, the lounge, the King's Lounge, was very
yeah.
successful.
I
It did very well
remember.
for a number of years. For just 8 years, it was very successful. I think, right?
Yeah.
But the restaurant, like we were talking among each other earlier, Phil and I were talking about the periods the restaurant went through in the beginning. The first few months. It struggled. Gibson's just opened, King's Restaurant and Lounge, and King's Lanai. King's Ice Cream Parlor just opened, and the Vietnam War had just ended, and the refugees were coming in. The economy kind of was softened up a little bit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until Typhoon Pamela, 76, that we really got a lift in business again. And I think it was about the same time, or just before Pamela, that Phil came up with the idea of having entertainment at night. And we had a live band and a dance floor from 9 to 2, 5 nights a week, and that was the platform to open 24 hours eventually. So it was just stepping forward as the market, needed more things, and it was his innovation in the early years that kept driving, let's do more. And we were thinking about that this morning also, that during the 10, 11 years that Phil, managed and pioneered the business out here, there were 7 or 8 other businesses that King's got into during that 10-year period. The Donut Tree in Hulale, the eateries in the Ganya Shopping Center. King's did the Guam Greyhound concessions. King's actually catered K57's grand opening when the radio station first birthed out here some years ago, right?
Wow.
RPH Service Wholesale, which was a large wholesale business at the time. So King's was always the cornerstone in the first 10 years of a lot of expansion in the market. But yeah, the restaurant wasn't an overnight success, right? When you're talking about a month ago about
profitability.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it struggled.
it kept us fed.
Yeah,
Of course,
but
we
you
were
weren't getting rich off of it.
No.
Not like Dave is now.
Yes. David and his family have done extremely well.
Well, I mean, they did because you worked for this. I mean, you worked really hard to make other things happen outside this flagship
Right.
restaurant. You wanted to do other stuff,
Right.
and now you've graduated into all sorts of different things.
Businesses,
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
like
was the cornerstone. This was,
Yeah.
we were talking that back in the early days of King's, if I may jump in, a lot of deals were done in the restaurant. A lot of people that came into Guam looking for business deals or making deals were in the restaurants, and they were, and things were done on a napkin. People would jot out their financial plan on a napkin, and so I think we were exposed early on in this market, to lots of other ideas, and that kind of helped us Probably during his term, 10 years, getting into 7, 8 different things, and during our term, same thing.
So the survivability right now has to survive these well-known mainland franchises. You've got everybody around you popping up. How do you survive in this market with?
I'm sorry, what's next door?
I don't even know. Ruby Tuesday. But there's a little bit of competition, or do you even consider that competition?
It's actually kind of helped the industry, in a lot of ways. When King's first started, when Phil and I first got out here, and he was my boss, right? You couldn't get workforce to work in the industry. It was a new industry. It was young. They didn't really want to be in the service industry, whereas today there's a whole level of people that work in this industry, and they're already trained, and so that's helped us with operational expertise. And then the brand competitiveness, I think we breeded more people eating out, and like Phil talked about earlier, every restaurant in the mainland is doing well. People have no problem going out and dining as an experience with their friends, and so I think more people eat out today than ever before. The King's 2 restaurants are doing 700,000 meals a year, which when you think about a market of 160,000 people, how is that possible? And yet all the other restaurants around us are doing well as well.
So there's plenty of room. Plenty of food, plenty of room.
Yeah.
So now that you guys are, a little different color hair and, the times have moved on, do you have any regrets in your relationship? I know you fired him at least once.
Yeah, but those were we were kids. I mean, in those days, it was, you're fired, but don't forget to get here at 6.
He thought I was surfing, and so I didn't show up for work. I was in Hawaii, so.
No, I always watched what was going on, and I was always proud of what David and Lucy accomplished after I was gone. It's like, whoa, I don't know that I could have done it. I don't know that I had the energy. They did.
Yeah.
I went totally different direction.
Yeah.
Like I said, I never did restaurants again.
So you only had that one love. That one first true love.
Well,
and it was one good one, right?
Yeah,
it was one good one,
but
right?
After 11 years, 16-hour days, you would tell David, I considered anything under 16 hours a day off.
Yeah.
And I went through a couple of divorces. It's a tough thing on a family, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, it's cool that you're back here, eating at this table.
It's amazing he's back here.
It's amazing. It's been really great. So. It's really great to hear the stories, listening to you on the radio, talking to Ray about all of your experiences, and it's just what an incredible life. I'm so glad you're here. Happy birthday there, Dave, for 40 years of King's.
4 decades. Amazing,
well
right?
done.
Who would have thunk, right?
Well done. Yeah. We're going to hear now from, here's a guy. He's been the longest manager for King's, 18 and a half years. He's not the oldest employee, but he's been, or the longest employees, but he's been here 8 and a half years. And you might have seen his face. Chris Convento is going to talk to you about his love for King's. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. What makes 40 years interesting in running King's Restaurant is that so many of us remember when it first opened, and it was like a bar. I remember it was a bar. Here's Chris Convento. Now, Chris is the longest serving general manager for King's Restaurants. And he's, 18 and a half years, you said?
No, 18 and a half years working with the company.
Man, that is amazing, though.
But yeah, it's been a fun ride.
It's been a fun ride. But you weren't here like back when it first started, where that place was a lounge. Were you still there?
No, I actually started in Harmon.
Okay.
I started in Harmon as a server.
Yeah.
And moved my way up to being a GM. Yeah.
Now, like I said, every week for the past year, we have been at this table at this location in Mooning, and Chris has been leading an incredible crew of people who treat us honestly like we belong here. We're part of the family. So
thank you.
It takes a lot, because the turnover here in the restaurant is big. I mean, there's a lot of people who come here on a daily basis.
Oh yes, yeah.
How do you keep up, number one, the stamina, and then you're always smiling? By the time we see him at like 2 in the afternoon, you're still got that big smile on your face.
I try, and it's just, I guess it's the staff, the guests that motivates me a lot. You know, I love what I do. Considering really, I've been here for a while and I love what I do, and
That's pretty cool. And have you met the original guy, Phil Schmidt?
No, I haven't. I haven't, but I'd love to meet him.
Yeah.
And I want to thank him because, really, he's the one that originated Kings here on Guam. So.
Well, you've come a long way. I know you started as a server? Or
I started as a server, moved my way up to shift leader, and under Dave Alcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was going to school, and I went to school. I took HR classes. I became human resource manager, handling the 33 school cafeteria when we had the contract. Yeah, and then I was running both restaurants at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So this is a career for you to.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that you're working for some great people too, the Alcorns.
Oh, I love them. They're great. They're very supportive.
Yeah.
Very supportive. I've known Dave since '97.
Yeah,
so.
but they treat the place. They treat everybody here like family anyway.
Yes,
I've been to I've been to your Christmas parties. It's like a big family outing. Is what
It
that
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I'm most impressed by is that you have not gained an ounce. I'm sure over the past 18 and a half years that you've been working for the company.
No, I have, Miss Patty.
We all have a little bit, but I tell you, it's just really nice that you're here for us every time we come in.
Thank you. Thank you so much too.
Yeah. You want to say happy 40th?
Yes, happy 40th and Viva Kings. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.